With the Medieval Town Square sets release rapidly approaching, I think now is a great time to build a custom Joust and tournament mock. So today we're going to be doing just that. We will also be making some custom minifigures like the King and Queen that are hosting the tournament, a couple of squires, and of course the knights participating in the joust. So without any more blabbering on, let's get right into it. I'd like to start by making the King and Queen that are hosting the tourney. My idea is that the royal family of the Crown Knights are hosting a tournament to honor their first grandchild's birth. Starting off with the Crown Knights King, I'm going to take the torso and legs from the new Boromir figure from Rivendell, and by ripping off his hands to replace with brown gloves, we'll also give him a dark blue cape and the head from the Goat Herder CMF. I wanted the king to have a bit of roughness to him, but he still needed to look properly wealthy, so the Boromir parts work really well in my opinion. Since he is a new grandfather, I also wanted him to show some age in the gray stubble from the Goat Herdsman CMF. Ideally, he would also have the Doctor Strange version of this hairpiece that shows a bit of graying around the sides, but this looks close enough to what I was envisioning. Next, I'm going to make the queen with the dress from an elf CMF, and I've also given her the head from a pirate CMF. Finishing off the fig with a long gray hairpiece, and we are done. I think these two fit each other quite well. Now all they need is a couple of Crown Knight guards. What I like to do with these guys is mash up the color of their legs so that they continue the quartered look from the torso. I'm gonna keep these guys identical apart from their face prints of course, because they are just your standard guards. Okay, so before we build the knights and squires attending the tourney, we need to actually build the tournament first. Let's start off by making a really simple tilt. For this, I'm going to be making what is basically a glorified fence. I'm using some basic 1x1 parts in brown, along with some of those pyramid detailing parts to make it look a little bit more interesting. I'll place these 3 posts onto some base plates for stability, that I will then finally connect them all together with a bunch of brown bars and some lightsaber hilts. We've also got some of these sweet flags from Bluedragonbricks that we can use to add in some more detail and color to the mock. These are perfect for any joust or tournament mock that you've got. Alright, I'm pretty happy with the way this looks, but now we need to build some tents for the contestants to sleep in. Originally I planned to make some classic medieval tents, but I quickly realized that I just did not have the parts in the colors that I need to make those. Thankfully though, I improvised a bit and I came up with a design that still looks medieval enough, but accommodated for my own part limitations. This build isn't super complicated, all it takes is a bunch of plates and tiles in your desired colors, and some of these snot plates for the wooden supports to attach to. If you make 2 of these with the same design, you can attach them together with some hinge plates, and to hide the gap on the top, all I've done is attached a tube of brown 1x1s to the very top. And that's it. It was honestly way easier to come up with than I thought it would be, and it looks pretty solid to me. To round off this tent, I'm going to build a base plate for it to rest on. All we're using here are some dark tan plates for the muddy tournament grounds, and some tiles in black and bright light orange for the sleeping rug for the Raven Knight. We'll also place a chest in here for any prize winnings, a satchel, and a lantern. The tent can now just be placed on top, and now the Raven Knight has a place to rest. Speaking of, let's now make a Raven Knight to attend the joust. We're obviously going to be using the Tournament Knight CMF as the base for this figure, that we will then add some shoulder armor to and a cape. I'm also going to give him this grill helmet with a dark red feather. This helmet actually only came in Pearl Dark Gray once, so it's a pretty rare piece nowadays. To finish off this fig, we'll make a brick-built lance with some black parts and a bright light orange flag on the end of it. I am really happy with how this lance looks, and it's super easy to replicate for any faction you might have. Now, every knight needs a squire, so let's make him one. Using some mid-legs and a Viking torso with dark red gloves, we'll add a young-looking face and a medieval hood, and we've got a squire. The final thing these guys need is a horse, so I've given them a black horse with a custom cloth barding, again from Bluedragonbricks. Recently, I've seen a few people recommending the plastic molded raven bardings from places like Temu and AliExpress, but I'm not completely convinced on them based on the pictures I've seen online. Let me know if you have any experience with them in the comments and how they look in person. I'd be very curious to know. But for now, I'm really happy with the ones that I have from Bluedragonbricks. I'll leave a link to his shop where you can check them out. Alright, let's now quickly build a tent for the other knight attending the tournament. This is going to be made in the exact same technique and style as the other one, but this time it will be in white and blue for the color scheme. The base of the tent will be made with a slightly different looking sleeping rug with a barrel and a chest on top. Alright, so now that the other tent is done, let's build the knight to go with it. I think you probably already know that the other knight is going to be a black falcon. I'm mirroring the design of the Raven Knight, but this time with a black cape and a regular great helm. Giving him the same style of lance with a blue flag, now we've got to make a squire to go along with him. So I'm going to take this chainmail torso and some dark brown mid-legs to make another one. Blue mid-legs would be really nice here, but I just sadly don't have many mid-legs in my collection. To finish up the falcons, they'll get a tan horse with another custom barding. I could have included the official one here, here from the Lion Knight's castle, but I'm going with a custom one just to match the Ravens aesthetic. Alright, the tents and the tilt of the tournament grounds are done. Now we just need to build a podium for the royal family to watch from. I'm going to start with an olive green base plate that will build a small brown stadium for the king and queen to watch from. Adding on a railing with more of those flags for the Ravens and Falcons, we can then add in some support beams for the roof to sit on. The frame that I've made here for the roof is made with some brown slopes and some decoration pieces that I think looks pretty nice. Finally, all we have to do is place the red and white striped roof on top with a basic hinge connection, and it's done. This is almost exactly what I had in mind when drawing out my super rough sketch of the build, and I couldn't be happier with the end result of this podium. We can now place it with the rest of the MOC and of course add in all of the figs. Whenever I finish a MOC that I've been putting off or had trouble finishing in the past, like this one here, I always get this nice feeling of, I don't really know how to explain it, but it just feels nice to finish a MOC and be able to see the end result through. Is this an insanely detailed and impressive MOC? No, but I made it and that's all that matters. If you've never built a MOC before or are an amateur like me, I'd highly recommend you just make something. I put off trying to learn how to MOC build in the past because of a million different excuses, but really the only actual obstacle is your own mind. Of course there are physical limitations like your parts collection, trust me, I get it, but half the fun that I get out of building now is trying to work around my own limitations to create something close to what I have in my head. Does the end result ever match exactly what I have envisioned? No, but I get closer to that image in my head the more MOCs that I build. This jousting scene is one that I've been procrastinating over making since around November of last year, so I am just really glad to have one actually built. That's all I have for you today. Please let me know what you think about the MOC, and if you have any ideas to expand it in the future, please leave me a comment letting me know. As always, thank you so much for watching, and go make something.